Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to RWBY Ice Queendom, Hyousetsu no Teikoku, episode 11. Yeah, episode 11, the penultimate one. The next episode will be the finale of the series, because I don't think it has 13 episodes. I think it just has 12 of them. Which makes episode 11, so today's episode, the second to last, penultimate. Right. In any case, it seems like things are picking up steam again. There's already been multiple moments in this series where things were slowly but surely picking up steam, headed towards the final confrontation with Nega Weiss, and then everything would fizzle out. Seeing how we only have 2 more episodes left to the series, I'm assuming this time it's not gonna fizzle out. This time we're actually gonna confront Nega Weiss. We're actually gonna find a solution. We're actually gonna solve the problem. We're actually gonna rescue Weiss from her nightmare and Blake, because to save Weiss from her nightmare, Blake decided to also take the nightmare onto herself, to also get infected with the Grim, and now their nightmares are clashing. And now Nega Weiss is fighting Nega Blake, and it's quite a nice little bit of combat. It was quite a nice little bit of combat. Some cool moves, amazing design to Nega Blake. That's one thing I have to say for sure, for certain. Amazing design to Nega Blake. And now they're fighting. And hopefully, when Nega Blake wins, she will have enough restraint to maybe not kill Nega Weiss, and then Nega Weiss will be defeated, and then Weiss will wake up, and then we're gonna have to dive into Blake's nightmare to wake up Blake. That's more or less the plan. And while the fight is going on, RWBY has set off with Yang. Yeah, she was with Yang, but later she was on her own. She set off to the depths of Weiss's nightmare to save her from herself. She went to the place with all those thorns and the dress floating in between them, with the one last remaining relic. And everybody fights a fight of their own, essentially. Jean is doing something. I don't know, something with the sword. He's fighting the statue of Weiss's father. He's also trying to protect the tiny Weisses and Pyrrha, and they are also fighting a little. Yeah, they're kinda in the sidelines doing their own thing, not really contributing to the main fight an awful lot, but I'm assuming they're gonna be relevant. In the end, the sword in particular has been teased time and time again, so maybe it's gonna have a payoff, maybe it's not gonna have a payoff, who's to say. Anything else important to say? Not really. The only important bits were that Weiss and Blake are now fighting. There was some fight on like a chessboard, which was atrocious, and now we are close to a solution, because RWBY is headed towards her solution. Blake and Weiss are fighting towards that possible solution. Jean is bumbling around doing his own thing, and hopefully, maybe on the off chance, today's episode is gonna actually solve the main issue, solve the main problem, the main conflict of the series, and we're maybe gonna get the last episode as kind of sort of a downtime, kind of a wind down, kind of a re-entry into the world of RWBY. Because that's kind of how I see this series. The first 3 episodes were spent in the world of RWBY. Then we kinda entered the world of Weiss, and we are constantly in that world of Weiss. So now maybe we're gonna re-enter the main timeline, so to speak. I know that there's probably enough deviation to not make it into the main timeline, but like the outer world, right? The school, the hunt, the world, not just a dream. Hopefully, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say about the previous episode. It's just I hope this one's gonna be better visually. From what I heard, it's actually gonna be better. The previous episode in particular was a huge dud, so hopefully the budget and the time and whatever they saved by serving as a chessboard is gonna be it's gonna come to fruition. It's gonna be used to make today's episode at least a little bit more visually appealing. Okay, yeah, you're gonna need your subs, of course, to sync up your own copy of RWBY. I'm gonna need my sound. And I'm also gonna have to ask you for your support. You can support the channel monetarily on Patreon or through links in the description. You can support it non-monetarily by sharing my content, spreading the word, and also liking, commenting, subscribing, all that jazz. You know what to do because every single YouTuber tells you to do those things. So we're gonna leave it at that and just start watching episode 11 of RWBY Ice Queendom in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, Blake's Nightmare World, the burning trees, it's visually amazing. That's actually like the one thing that was aesthetically pleasing about the previous episode. Everything that had to do with Blake, from Blake's design to her weird burning world. Okay, still a chessboard. Assuming you can beat it, it's quite large. Okay, so Jean picked up the sword and is trying to use it actually. No cigar. Still too heavy. Oh. Oh? Is the sword actually like an anti-nightmare thing? Okay, what's wrong with your face, Weiss? She's not behaving like Nega Weiss. She's showing some remorse and some, like, feelings. First I hear of that. Okay, there was some talking when they were planning what to do. Something about, like, whatchamacallit, cognitive dissonance, right? Make them not know what to believe and what have you, so that the real them can shine through, kind of sort of deal. Could be that. Could be that. I don't know. Return my Blake to me. Yeah, that certainly doesn't sound like something that Negavice would say. Man, I just wish we had a better opening. Like, keep the song, sure. The song is perfectly fine. It's fine. Just the visuals. The monochrome is really not doing it for me. I wonder how it would look like if, because the whole opening is just scenes from the show, from the first 3 episodes. I wonder what it would look like if someone actually recreated this opening but using the non-monochrome, the fully colorful scenes from the show. If it would look better, if it would look worse, or perhaps nobody cares enough about this series to do that. That's also a possibility. Right, it's supposed to have some significance. Yeah, everything has its reason. Have you tried being less cryptic? Okay, eye lasers. First time we see that. Glowing eyes, glowing hair. Is she going Super Saiyan? Okay, I guess Yang just went Super Saiyan. Why not? Reminds me of Regina from Alchemy Stars. Okay, big fist. Apparently, she had it in her all this time to defeat the big boss. What prompted the change, though? Does she have some hidden power or something that only wakes up when she's in dire straits? She crashed into the head of the statue, so I'm assuming it's grandfather related memories, maybe? And you dress the part. Okay, so the grandfather was actually a decent fellow. So it's just the father who's a little shit. I should build an entire queendom. Okay, inside your heart, and she did. I guess she did build a fortress inside of her heart. Well, at least Big Nicholas is no longer a threat. Trying again. Hmm? Making the sword lighter or something. Yeah, okay. Oh, it just dissolved. And this one also was turned off. Okay, so the sword is genuinely significant. It is some sort of a anti-nightmare thing. Anti-nightmare thing. Why though? That's the part I don't get quite. I don't quite get. Weiss's opinion of Jean was never that great, so why would she made him this powerful? Why would she give him such a powerful weapon? Okay, the nightmare is taking hold again. It lost its grasp for a moment, and now it's regaining foothold. In the seats? Or do you just enjoy property damage? Oh, the gun faces backwards so that she can hold the thing and shoot her own shadow. Because it faces backwards. Is that it? Yeah, I thought she's gonna be a little bit more overt about it, but I guess a direct confrontation also works. Except apparently that wasn't the main Grim. Huh? Is that Weiss? Is that the real Weiss waking up and rejecting the nightmare? Some decent animation for once. Gotta say. Oh, there goes the nightmare. Yeah, the Grim no longer takes hold of her. So she should be waking up, shouldn't she? Is her tattoo gonna recede? It is receding. But now they are stuck inside of Blake's nightmare. Is that it? Okay. Pokemon acquired. Into the cum jar you go. But yeah, now they're probably stuck inside of Blake's nightmare. Yeah, don't cheer before exactly. Before all's said and done. The white glow? Is her true power flashlight built into her eyes? I thought semblance is like the true power that not everybody has, right? That you have to really train and really be, I don't know, attuned with the elements or whatever to have the semblance. Uh, but apparently there is some like higher levels of true power than just a semblance. That's good. Like, don't get me wrong, that's good because it means there's room for growth. It's not that Ruby has a semblance and that's that. She's the most powerful, done deal. She has room to grow. She has still has some like abilities to discover and whatnot. She already trusts you. She already is. Far as anybody is concerned, honestly. What's the significance of the dress though? The one and only thing that comes to my mind is like a wedding dress. Reminds me instantly of Kill la Kill and Kamui Junketsu. That Junketsu was supposed to be the wedding dress for Satsuki. Yeah, she's no longer Negavice. She's Weiss proper. Cool getup is what you're wearing. Okay, so if we don't solve the Blake problem in this episode, that's probably gonna be left for the next one. No, yeah. That was quite the other way around. Will she? Okay. Waking up. You still have like half a hourglass left, so. And we've been here for like 3 episodes already, so I'm assuming you still have enough aura for 3 more episodes. Okay. Okay. That's what I want to see. Not garbage CG models jumping around. Good and proper to the animation. What's stronger, Yang or the Nightmare? And some cool music. Okay. Yeah, grab her hand. That's a very literal way of pulling someone out of their nightmare. Shoot the shadow? Where's her nose, Yang? Okay. 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 I forgive the checkerboard from the previous episode. Okay. Yeah. It really feels like they were saving up the budget and the resources for the last hurrah. We get that cool metallic shading again that was absent this whole time. Outside of the first like 3 episodes. Oh. Yeah. But it's poetic. No, it's poetic. Killing your old self. Can't really go more profound than that, can you? Okay, more fighting. And fighting as a team this time around. No longer splitting around, saving one another. All 4 of them fighting as a unit. Some odd looking faces in the in-betweens, but they're in-betweens, so it's really whatever. Attack your shadows. That was a little bit extra, RWBY. And there goes the second nightmare. Into the cam jar you go. Are they gonna wake up? Or is it gonna be a situation of, oh no, something is still wrong? No, okay, it's a good ending. Everything's dissolving. slowly fading away indeed, including tiny Weisses and Pyrrha, and their noses. It's Dream Pyrrha and Dream Tiny Weisses. They were you. Okay, the whole city fading apart. I mean, to be fair, nobody else noticed either, so. And the Grim is also as strong as the person it possesses. Well, haha, funny you mentioned that. Yeah, everybody knows. You've been the talk of the city. Oh, I thought it's gonna be a moment of, oh no, there's no one last coin. We used all of them. Or the coin just disappears, or something like that happens, and shit hit the fan. Episode 12, how are they gonna get out? That kind of thing, but no. No, they're not gonna surprise us like that. Wakey, wakey. Hmm. Makes me wonder what will episode 12 be about then. Yeah, it only took them like 4 tries and how many? 7 episodes. No biggie, really, honestly. Okay, that was a very. Hmm. Like, the episode was fitting for a finale, for sure. The ending itself, with Vice just going, haha, no big deal, kind of feels abrupt. I wonder if we're gonna get an after credits scene. I have a feeling we might. Although, no, we have like just a few more seconds. No? 22 minutes in? We might have a few seconds of an after credits scene. But yeah, I wonder what will episode 12 would be about. If there's no after credits scene that would tie us into episode 12, then whatever episode 12 is about will feel weird one way or another. Hmm. Okay, after credits. There we go. Okay, we're going for haha funny. Gotcha. At least she has a bunk bed now. She can cry herself to sleep in a bunk bed. Chapter 12, Best Day Ever. Huh. So it is gonna be just a downtime episode, I think. The finale, the final episode. This was the finale. All that's left is essentially an equivalent of an OVA. That's the vibe I'm getting. That this was the season finale, and episode 12 will be what in other anime would be an episode 13 or 14 or OVA or whatever. Right? That's the vibe I'm getting here. Okay. Okay. How about we go... No, I need to prepare myself first, so that it can be a very smooth switch. So now, how about we go through this episode again? Shall we? Yes, we shall. Overall, this episode was... It was cool. The best in recent memory, honestly. Didn't quite reach, in my mind, didn't quite reach the quality of the first 3 episodes. But that might be just my, like, nightmare fatigue. Right? That, sure, it is a great episode overall, but it's a great episode within the nightmare arc, and that kind of brings down my enjoyment a little bit, because I genuinely started getting tired of this whole nightmare dream scenario. So that could be it. But yeah, overall solid. Still very much few wonky scenes, wonky faces. But I kind of got used to it by now, so is it even worth pointing out? Some cool action later on. We're gonna get to that, of course. And now I hear this is a Shaft show. I know it's a Shaft show, but I hear that they usually release absolute garbage of a shit show for TV and then actually make something decent for a Blu-ray release. So I heard that was even a thing with Madoka Magica. I heard that Magia Records, which is like Madoka Magica spin-off sequel thing, also released in a very sorry state on TV, and now that they're releasing it on Blu-ray, it's actually looking somewhat decent. So perhaps a re-release or Blu-ray release of RWBY Ice Queendom will actually look good. If so, like, whenever the Blu-ray version release, and if someone gets a hold on it and watches it, and if it's actually like significantly better, I might rewatch it in my own time. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, compared to especially previous episode, this one definitely has a little bit more care put into it. Sure, there's still the checkerboard thing, but things are at least like a little bit more dynamic, and we don't have those nothing shots, right? Like in the previous episode, there were shots that were just like a tire or a blob, and you would look for 5 seconds at a black blob with 2 yellow blobs on the sides, and like, why do you subject me to that? This episode didn't have this issue, for sure. So that's like already one thing it has over episode 10. Then again, it's really not hard to top episode 10. It's kind of like with Overlord, I sometimes say, oh, the CG is better than Goblin Army. Yeah, it's a very low bar to pass the Goblin Army CG. What do I have to do to beat it? Apparently you have to make your hair glow, and that should help. Okay, this is a cool scene, with Jean actually trying to fight with this sword, kind of failing. The sword is CG, but it actually looks somewhat decent. And yeah, I still have no clue what the deal with the sword is, but it seems to be genuinely some anti-nightmare thing. Like, the armor dude, the father statue didn't have to even be cut with this sword. Just stepping on it dissolved its foot. After the foot being enveloped in thorns, which are like which signify the corruption, the nightmare. So that's kind of weird because I don't know. It seems like the nightmare contained within the sword destroys the inhabitants of this nightmare, which would be kind of weird because it's one and the same nightmare. So I don't know. I have no clue what the deal is with the sword, honestly. Yeah, some cool fight scenes that actually do seem drawn. Yeah, they are 2D. There's no CG here. Well, maybe the rubble on the roof. The faces are still very much wonky at times. But yeah, honestly, I'd rather have wonky faces and proper 2D combat than CG models flying around. So I'm down. Absolutely. Yeah, I was afraid that it's just gonna be a CG CG Fest. I wanted to say Fest and Fiesta at once, and I said Festa. Cool. If that's how you can say again, that's how you can tell it's late, and I really should be going to bed now. But yeah, doesn't matter. You really think that that will be enough to tame a Faunus Fury? Yeah, that's what I meant by wonky faces, right? What in the world is making you act so strange? This is one thing I'm not entirely getting either. I mean, I'm I get it, kinda, but I'm not sure if the mechanics of the world work like that. Because again, the way I see it is this is the real blade, real Vice shining through the Nega Vice, right? She still like kind of sort of believes that she is the Nega Vice and she's the head of the Schnee family, yada 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 responsibility. But her head is slowly being filled with thoughts of Blake is my friend. Blake wouldn't act like that, right? That kind of deal. At least, again, that's how I take it. I don't know if that's how it works. I was kind of under the impression that the real Vice would be figuratively or literally imprisoned somewhere, like wrapped up in the thorns, and RWBY has to like actually cut her out of the thorns and kiss her to wake her up. You know, going by the themes of Sleeping Beauty. But no, it seems like Nega Vice and Vice are one and the same person. Same goes for Nega Blake and Blake, where Blake was able to crawl literally out of Nega Blake later. Do you think I want to fight the Faunus or something? Yeah, Nega Vice very much does want to fight Faunus. Do you really think I hate all of you that much? Nega Vice very much does. So all of that tells me it's the real Blade, the real Vice shining through. That's why I tried to fix the company in the Schnee family. This is interesting. This is interesting. This is something I'm interested in seeing. We haven't seen much about the Schnee family and Vice. We've seen that everybody is more or less cold in that family, right? That Vice literally had to fight for her freedom. That her father would rather she stay at the manor and just be bumbling around and mostly useless than go out into the world and learn and travel and whatnot. So we have that image of a very toxic, uptight, high tier family, and Weiss is trying to like break out of the mold, essentially. We haven't seen anything that would suggest that Weiss actually tries to fix the company and the Schnee family. We haven't seen anything that would imply that she has any sort of impact on the company or on the family. So I wonder if she's only talking about it in the context of the nightmare, or is she talking about it in the context of like the real world? Because in the nightmare, sure, she might have been taking some steps to make all those things better, but in real world, I don't think she's been given the possibility to do that. At least from what we've seen. Perhaps it's been actually explored in depth in the main series. Maybe there was an arc of Weiss, I don't know, convincing her father to not be a slave owner, or maybe Weiss taking reins of the Schnee company, or something like that. I don't know. None of that was shown in this show, so I can't even speculate. But yeah, I wonder what's the context here. Is the context of the nightmare, or is it the context of the real world? And here we have this, which really does tell me that it is the real Weiss shining through. What am I? And her momentary lapse and subsequent fall. And also the thorns blinking in and out. On Weiss, I guess it would make sense, like the thorns trying to take a hold on her but not quite being able to. Or on the contrary, the thorns briefly losing grasp and then regaining it. Could be either way. On Blake, I'm not sure why the thorns appear on her. She hasn't wavered. The Nega Blake hasn't wavered. So, or maybe it is the real Blake from within her fighting, and that's the lapse. I don't know. You've been possessed by something. Haha, fun you mentioned that. And yes, you are of course correct. I think this is the first time we see the sigil on her cape actually moving properly. Also, I like this little quick jump between two poses. Very small thing, but jumping from this, kind of like springing into action, and then jump into the next pose and springing out of action. Right? That little whoop, whoop, jump. It's cool. OP, 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 OP. And yeah, other examples of some actually decent animation. Faces, again, very much still wonky. Weiss in the previous scene didn't look quite like Weiss some of the time, but I'm hoping the Blu-ray release will fix that. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? For a moment, I thought that RWBY is wearing like socks with individual fingers, like glove socks, but no, it's just her feet are a different shade than the rest of her body. Probably because of the shadow, but I don't know. Everything has its reason. Yeah, so the reason her gun shoots from behind is apparently so that she can shoot her own shadow. But what if her shadow is in front of her? Just a thought, right? I know that it's supposed to be like symbolic and actually supposed to have some meaning and whatnot. So of course her shadow will be behind her, but not quite. And we're gonna talk about it when we get there. But I'm left wondering. A scene with the bat in the previous episode. RWBY also said something about her weapon being the way it is for a reason, because she managed to shoot the bat and grab the relic, but the direction of her gun wouldn't matter for shooting the bat. So that was kind of weird. Why even include that? if you remember my reaction to the previous episode, I said something along the lines of they created the situation where it's supposed to be significant, they hyped it up to be significant, and they kind of forgot about it, so they wanted to make it significant, so they threw the bat in and said, oh yeah, for sure, that's the weapon is significant for shooting bats. Oh, absolutely. That was our intention from the very beginning. That was the vibe I was getting. But now, it turns out it actually has some significance. You can wield your scythe in a battle-ready pose and then press the trigger and shoot backwards into your own shadow, which makes sense and is actually significant. Why the bat then? Kinda makes no point. It makes no sense including it because there's no point in that. I don't know, kinda odd. Yeah, more checkerboard. But at least things are animated better. The scene with... Yeah, this big Nicholas and the rim lighting on him and the beam effect really reminds me of the, like, early 1990s cartoons that would air on TV when I was a kid, when I was going to like preschool. Really reminds me of that style of like old Soviet cartoons. It's cool. It's cool. Like actually has some. It's at least more interesting than the checkerboard. Although the beam kind of stops here. An oversight, I'm assuming. And yeah, this one I'm not getting. Yeah, some actually genuinely decent animation this time around. Or decent animation, some actual animation. Maybe that's how I should say it. Some actual effort put into that. Her eyes are glowing, her hair are glowing. Just because. Don't quite get that. She saw some Faunus being thrown around, so she's like, how dare you hurt my Faunus friends? And she goes Super Saiyan, is that it? Or is it just completely random? The same way Ruby's eyes just started shining white, or what the deal here is. Yeah, all this time she's been running around, running away from Big Nicholas, and now she's able to just punch it without even like using brass knuckles or whatever, just bare fist punch it and crack it open. And I think this is the first time we're actually seeing the motorcycle drawn. Her glowing, flamey hair really does remind me of Regina from Alchemy Stars. Let me see if I can find her picture. I probably can. Why would I not be able to? Regina Alchemy Stars. Google Images. Why is there no Regina? Okay, maybe I overestimated. Okay, I guess that's gonna be good enough. That's Twitter. Whatever. This hell site can be useful sometimes. Okay. Open image in new tab. That'll do it. Window capture. No, I won't. Display capture. There we go. This is Regina from Alchemy Stars. She has glowing, flame-like hair, and she's cool, and I like her very much. She's not particularly useful unit, but yeah, I like her design. And Yang very much looks similar to Regina. Okay, we are not going through this episode at a particularly brisk pace, so I'm gonna speed it up a little. Some actually decent action scenes in this episode. Some very wonky faces. Again, seems to be a running theme. Wonky faces in RWBY Ice Queendom. But at least the action scenes are nice. And the faces can be fixed, I'm assuming, and they will be, I'm assuming. And yeah, apparently she made her way into memories about Big Nicholas, about the grandfather. And the grandfather seems to be a genuinely good guy. My joy in life comes from serving others, not from becoming a king. Right? Very like... very... how should I say it? I have the word on the tip of my tongue. Like, not boastful, not trying to conquer and whatnot, right? Very, very opposite of that. He just wants to help people, and the fact that people like him and revere him for that, cool, let them, but I don't want to be any sort of a king. It's not my goal. I just want to be a good guy and help people. And he genuinely does seem this kind of a person. Unless there's some hidden subtext here, as in, oh, my joy in life comes from serving other people. But oh no, Faunus aren't people. Fuck Faunus. They're just like animals. Unless there's something like that here, which I doubt there is, because the dude seems genuinely nice. Then it's kinda odd that his son, I'm assuming, which is Weiss's father, is the way he is. Unless he also has some, I don't know, unsolved issues or whatever, and is compensating for something, or I don't know. Maybe he's jealous of Weiss. That could be a thing, I guess. The grandfather always preferring Weiss, always telling her that, yeah, you will become a castle that protects others, you will become the head of the Schnee family, you're the best, and he left his son on the sidelines because maybe he saw his son for who he is, and that's why he left it all to Weiss. But due to some machinations and forged documents and what have you, it's not Weiss that got the company, it's her father or something like that. That's the vibe I'm getting, at least. That should make the Schnee family and yourself very proud. Inside your heart, build the grandest, most noble castle you can. Build it together with friends you will one day meet. This fulfilled. This, she didn't really have any friends up until this point. Big Nicholas crumbling down. And yeah, this is cool. I've been rewatching Gate recently, and it reminded me of episode 2 or 3 of Gate, where Lele casts a spell on the cart to make it lighter. And yeah, it's cool. It's a cool scene. It allows Jean to feel like a knight that's like worthy of this super cool anti-nightmare sword. When he has the support of his friends, when he has the support of Pyrrha and the tiny Weisses. He does have Pyrrha's support in the real life, so that's kind of a nifty parallel, I guess. And yeah, this one dies, and through that, apparently the hologram as well. The statue is crumbling down. Yeah, there is a little bit of fear and a little bit of pain in her eyes. The statue of her grandfather just fallen. Yeah. Yeah, it goes from shock It goes from shock to like pain and sadness and shock, just a little bit of shock. Interesting, cool. And yeah, even more anger because Weiss genuinely did care about her grandfather. And that allows the nightmare to take a little bit more hold. Hides in the shadow with the person facing it. I honestly thought RWBY is gonna be just a little bit more overt. That it's gonna be like, oh yeah, you have the gun barrel in the back so that you can hold the scythe at the ready and then shoot your shadow covertly. Because kind of again, if she can just turn around towards her shadow and just blast it, facing it, what's the significance of the barrel being at the back, really? Besides like the first pot shot that she had. This is interesting. Yeah, it's the white of her eyes spilling out. Initially tears, then we have this little cool impact frame, and it is the white. Yeah, it's white light or some cold air or whatever from her eyes. When it turned into this sequence, this scene, this shot, I was under the impression that it's maybe the real Weiss that's escaped and is helping RWBY, and I just thought, or the creators of the show intended to misdirect us and intended to make us think that it's RWBY's white light that does it, and in reality, haha, it was Weiss. But no, it genuinely seems to be RWBY doing that. And the dress gets busted out. That's another thing I don't quite get the significance of. The dress. Some really cool action here. Whipping out her gun around like that. Yeah, there's a lot of cool animation and cool shots and cool scenes. Some very cool ideas. But it's all kinda marred by the cheapness of the art style, not gonna lie. Even at the best moments, even at the best animation and best combat, best action, the faces, for example, are usually just a blob of solid color and a couple of dots for eyes. So that kind of cheapens the experience. But the animation and action itself, thumbs up. And yeah, she's free. Sometimes battle helps to awaken one's true powers. The wide eyes shining through. Is RWBY some sort of a chosen one or something? She seems to have unlocked her semblance without ever, like, actually having to fight. Like, I don't think... we don't know much about RWBY's childhood, but she doesn't strike me as someone who would fight particularly much, like go on hunts and whatnot. Weiss, she probably trained by her own. Blake was, of course, a part of the White Fang, but RWBY, yeah, the semblance is probably a thing that she got because of her, I don't know, being born under a lucky star or her special bloodline or something, and the same goes for the glowing eyes, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. Yang's eyes were also glowing, and so were her hair. Uh, but but I don't think they're related. Someone mentioned that near the beginning of the series, I think, that Yang's and RWBY's surnames are different, or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems like RWBY is special and still has room to grow. So the room to grow is cool. Her being special, I don't know. I've no clue what the deal is besides her eyes glow white and she blasts the world with white, and that's her superpower. We would need to explore it just a little bit more for me to form an opinion on that, and I'm assuming we're gonna explore it in like the series proper. I really did want one. That wasn't a lie. Yeah, even with 5 people in my family, I felt totally alone. I thought Vice had a somewhat decent relationship with her sister. I'm not sure, but that's the vibe I was getting. Wasn't um, her weapon a gift from her sister as well? I don't know. I don't remember the details. She did have a good relationship with the butler. That much I'm sure of. And yeah, we're gonna be friends. And the dress. I still have no clue what the deal with the dress is. And yeah, everybody's here. Vice is okay. It's just Blake that's possessed. And yeah, now we enter the like actual uh, cream of this episode. The actual great action, great transitions between attacks. Yeah, that just looks cool. Like honestly, the smears, the like seamless use of her semblance. I love Ruby's semblance. I might have mentioned that on more than one occasion, but I really do love her semblance. And again, we cut through the cloud of smoke. Blake versus Yang. Powered up punch. Did it actually land? Kinda did. Okay, some cool smear frames and whatnot. And her mask gets cracked. And that allows the real Blake to shine through. Pull out the coin, and meanwhile, the Blake is waging battle against the leader question mark of the White Fang. He's not the leader, he's like one of the generals or something. And yeah, she stops fighting, she stops engaging with the nightmare and just escapes. Kinda ties into what I said in the previous episode, or maybe even the episode before that. I think it was the episode before that. That if there is someone strong enough mentally and emotionally and physically to escape nightmare on their own, it would be Blake. And I guess she did get the help. Half of the mask was cracked, and that allowed her to reach out and take control for a brief moment. But yeah, she just escaped mostly on her own, with a little bit of help from her friends. But compare that to the Vice situation, where Vice was just rejecting everything and shutting herself off, and it took us like 17 million attempts to finally succeed. In case of Blake, she actually put in some work to also get out of the nightmare. I like it. I really do. Yang is losing her nose very often in this episode, isn't she? Tell us what to do, leader, and indeed they are fighting as a team. Yeah, all four of them. It's no longer just an Yang attack, then Blake attack, then Vice attack, then Ruby attack. No, all of them engage in the combat more or less at the same time. And it's some cool combat. Here comes Vice. A little bit of Yang. Boosting herself with her blasty fists. That's cool. Some cool impact frame. this one in particular, we've seen this art style used when Blake was exiting the manor, right? After she's been possessed by a nightmare. And this is the return of that with a vengeance. And I couldn't be happier. Apparently, this is a cool detail. Apparently, her fists use some sort of cartridges to give her the blasting ability. Ruby, of course, all the time being just a little bit extra with her scythe. And this is, I mentioned that during the scene, the return of the cool rendering of metalness on her weapon. It usually just is mostly solid color. The red is red, the black is black. Cool, that's it. But now we're actually having some highlights and some shadows. Same goes for Weiss's weapon. And yeah, the scene where she transforms her scythe into the snowboard, you can really see the metalness. It really feels to me like they had budget to make okay 8 episodes, then they were told they have to make 12, so they decided to make 3 cool episodes, then a bunch of shit, then a cool episode 11, and maybe cool episode 12. Kind of budgeted that this way, right? In episode 10, we're gonna have a checkerboard scene, and in episode one of them before that, we're gonna have some panning shots of the city with nothing really happening, just some sounds maybe, if budget allows, so that in episode 11 we can have a properly rendered metalness of Ruby's snowboard. And I guess I kinda appreciate that. Also cool move that I didn't notice before. She starts folding her scythe out with her legs. She doesn't like stop and then grab her snowboard and starts transforming it. No, she starts transforming it with her feet and then kicks it up, does a kickflip, essentially catches it, and it's already a scythe with some really well rendered metallic. And it's not CG. That's another thing. It's not a CG scythe either. Spinny, spinny, spinny. And yeah, of course, the most poetic way to end the fight is for the hero to kill the negative version of themselves, thus establishing that all those negative emotions, all those negative qualities are something that they separate themselves from. Cool. I still do like Nega Blake design though, so. And Yang lost her nose again, and so did Weiss, I guess. It isn't me, it's something I once was. I love uh how Blake is. How like not matter of factly, but her like super serious one-liners, right? Like who would come up with this line on the spot? It isn't me. It's something I once was, right? Only Blake do that. And I love that. And of course, we're fighting the shadow, and again, more combat, more action. It really feels like they took all of the action budget from the previous episodes and gave it to this one. Punchy, punchy, punch. Slicey, slicey, slice. Yeah, everybody has a chance to attack. Wait, what the fuck did just happen here? Oh no, I thought she was wielding her rapier in her right hand, and then it magically transported itself to her left hand, but no, she's been wielding it with her left hand. whilst she's slicing with it. If a rapier is a stabbing weapon, though, that I do not know. And of course, RWBY with her scythe. For a moment, I was afraid those were CG models, but no, they aren't. They are drawn. Besides the like robots, the goons at the very beginning of this episode, I don't think we've actually seen any CG here. Which is cool, which is commendable. Oh, this is rough. Is it an in-between? Kinda, I guess. Oh, oh, oh. That's a face you'd see in a cheap yaoi manga. I think mostly everybody in this scene had issues with faces. Right? Like let's take a look at Yang. Yeah, it's mostly fine. Her neck is getting kind of wobbly. But it's mostly fine. Weiss, meanwhile, is Jesus. Weiss, what have they done to you, girl? What have they done to you? RWBY channel. Oh, I wanted more. I wanted more of these faces. Please give me more. Yeah, this one in particular. And there was also this one in between. Oh, yeah, this one. This in between. Yeah, some really rough faces. Blake's face is mostly obstructed by her weapon, so it's kind of whatever. RWBY being extra with her scythe. And her face is mostly correct, but then again, she's not really doing any particularly a lot of emoting, I guess. One thing I did notice is those scenes were for sure 100% made by a different artist and a different animator than, I don't know, this scene or this scene. Very different art style, like extremely. Those being mostly in betweens and animation, sure, but you can see that it's like someone else doing that. Maybe the same person that did this shot, because Weiss is also looking kind of fucked up here. But yeah, I guess it is true that COVID kind of fucked them, and they had to like work remotely, and they couldn't exactly synchronize that I have this art style, you have this one, we have to bring up some common art style. I don't know. I know that. I mean, it's kind of hard to see that because there are tools to work on things like that remotely and even asynchronously. It's a solved problem for the most part. But I guess it might have something to do with Japan being a country that's incredibly technologically advanced and also incredibly technologically backwards. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the staff members were like mailing their work via snail mail and communicating with each other on a call, or maybe on, I don't know, WeChat or something. No, not WeChat, Line. They use Line in Japan instead of jumping on a Zoom call or something. Wouldn't surprise me. And yeah, everybody's free now. The world is slowly dissolving. And yeah, time for some haha funny. Can't believe I was possessed by a Grim. Don't tell about it to the rest of Team JNPR, of course. Now it's time for RWBY to lose her nose. I guess everybody lost their noses. And yeah, at this moment, I genuinely thought that she's gonna be like, oh yeah, we just need to grab the coin. Oh shit, where's my coin? Where's my coin? And that's gonna be an issue for episode 12. But no, everything ended well, and they managed to get out of the dream scot-free. Oh, that's the meme picture I just noticed on the left of the keyboard. The face of this dude is very memeable. Wake, everybody wakes up. And it ends mostly just like that. With some after credits re-establishing that haha funny and that Weiss kinda mellowed out a little. She's no longer such a hard ass and super serious and whatnot. She has her soft side. She gets embarrassed as well, right? I like it. I like it. Yeah, blushing Weiss is a sight to behold, for sure. But that leaves me wondering what the fuck's gonna happen in episode 12, right? It's probably gonna be mostly just downtime. I think. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see that in episode 12, I guess. But yeah. That we will see in episode 12. Far as episode 11, well, it's done. And I can see where the animation and action budget went. The art still very much wonky at times, most of the time, really. But at least the action sequences and the animation was actually like genuinely top notch. This anime could really use the budget and the quality of like Tact of Destiny, honestly. If you want to see something kind of sort of similar with some like genuinely good animation and genuinely good art, Tact of Destiny, I can recommend it. It's an elaborate ad for a gacha. Sure, so don't expect the whole story to be fully resolved because you have to play the gacha, right? Problem is the gacha isn't out yet, so figures. But yeah, for what it is, by its own merit, Tact of Destiny still stands very well. Yeah, this episode was mostly really about action. Like, sure, we solved the issue, but we were already headed in that direction. We saw some growth in Weiss, I guess, because she kinda. It seems to me like she started noticing her old thinking, or maybe not even noticing her old thinking, but directly going against it, right? Like, I don't hate all the Faunus. The Weiss before episode 2 or something thereabouts would probably be like, yeah, I hate the Faunus, they are attacking our cargo transports, kind of equating Faunus with White Fang. This shows that she has changed and she's kind of figuring out the like issues in her thinking, because Blake in her nightmare form, Nega Blake, was kind of mirroring that. So she's like, no, you can't say that, but I'm also saying that. So that's kind of bad. That's kind of hypocritical of me, right? That's the vibe I was getting there. So I'm glad that the Weiss did have the ability to grow a little, because that's what I was kind of scared of entering the series, or rather entering the nightmare, the dream, that everybody's gonna grow because everybody's gonna take like an active part in it, right? They're gonna build their teamwork. They're gonna learn about their strengths and weaknesses, all that stuff, as if they were on a normal mission. Meanwhile, Weiss was kind of asleep the whole time, so she doesn't really get anything out of it. But turns out she might actually get some growth in the end, so that's cool. Blake. Uh, Blake seems to me like she didn't really need that growth. She very much established herself as probably the strongest character here, the one with the most mental fortitude, for sure. And also the one most malleable, so to speak. Most, like, maybe not most, but the character that's malleable, that's welcoming to change. because when she was a part of the White Fang, she didn't really have friends. When on the airship, she also kind of just waved everybody away, didn't want to engage, and yet here she is, holding her hand out for Yang, asking for help. It really shows how strong she is, that she's able to just completely discard her preconceptions, discard her old way of thinking, and immediately and seamlessly enter the mode of, yeah, those are my friends. I trust them, they trust me, we can help each other, I can ask for help without any repercussions. Hey, Yang, could you help me, please? I like it. I really do like it about Vice. About Blake. Sorry, I'm getting them too mixed up for some reason. Did Ruby and Yang grow? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Not in particular. Yang seems like a person that doesn't have particularly many flaws to grow from. She doesn't really bear resentment towards anybody. She doesn't really hold a grudge. She's just fun to be around. Ruby, Ruby is the same kind of person, really. She might have learned a little bit about teamwork and about leadership, arguably, but I'm not sure. It was mostly growth for Blake and Vice. I'm assuming. What else about this episode? Besides the action, that was like actually pretty cool. Interesting. It was interesting to see the grandfather as this cool guy, the like actual good parental, more or less, figure in Vice's life that influenced her a lot for sure. And somehow is out of the picture. Did he die? Did he go missing? We don't know. Vice's father seems to maybe not quite worship the grandfather, but seems to also revere him. And yet he also seems to be going directly against the grandfather's wishes. So that's kind of weird. I'm very much interested in knowing more about the mechanics and the relationships in Vice's family and the Schnee company, because it seems like it's interesting, and there's quite a few skeletons in the closet. One of those skeletons might be the grandfathers. So that's gonna be cool exploring in the full series, because I am gonna watch the series proper. If it's been explored there, of course, because it might have not been. I don't know. I have no way of knowing. I know absolutely nothing about Ruby, honestly. What else? What else? Yeah, the superpowers. Yang's Super Saiyan mode came completely out of the blue. Um, Ruby's white glowy eyes, I guess, kinda like dire straits caused it. She's bound by tentacles, and we all know what happens when a girl is bound by tentacles. She can fire her weapon, it's a hopeless situation, and then suddenly a burst of white light that saves her. So that might be some latent ability that she has, something repressed, something in her blood. Maybe the spirit of her dead mother inhabits her body and helps her in dire situations. I don't know. Any number of things can be an explanation. So that actually fits. With Yang, I don't know. It was kind of like, oh, how can I defeat Big Nicholas? Oh, Super Saiyan! Really out of nowhere. It would have made sense if she was, I don't know, thrown from the building, or she was about to be crushed by the fist or something, and then suddenly she activates Super Saiyan, catches the fist with her own, and cracks the hand of Big Nicholas in half, just like that. Kinda came out of nowhere. I'm not gonna be asking for explanation, because I'm assuming those are the powers that they actually have in the main series as well, and they get explained there. There is maybe even some more build up to them. I don't know. Probably. I hope. So I'm gonna know that from watching the main series. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Uh, kind of just a little bit, just a smidge, maybe not quite anticlimactic, but the thing with just shoot your shadow and that will allow you to kill the Grim. I was expecting something more, something less direct, right? Something like you have to get through to the original person and they themselves want to expel the Grim, and only then will the Grim make itself visible so that you can defeat it, something like that. Shoot Your Shadow is very straightforward for a Grim that's so incredibly covert and so incredibly connected to the mind and to the emotions, right? So that's. I'm not even gonna say it's iffy, it just goes against my expectations, right? Not in a positive way, not in a negative way, just goes against my expectations. The ending itself was fairly abrupt. Haha funny is sure it is a way to end an episode, but not quite a way to end a series, I don't think. But it did feel like an ending for sure. It certainly did feel like the finale of the series. And again, I find myself wondering what can we see in episode 12. Episode 12 is called Best Day Ever. So I'm assuming we might be throwing a party, and it's just gonna be an OVA essentially. We're gonna have a party, probably not a beach episode, probably not a pool episode. But yeah, some cake, some talking, some mingling with other people. Maybe we're gonna invite Penny, maybe we're gonna invite Sun. Uh, and that's how we're gonna end it, with maybe everybody just raising a toast for Team RWBY and Team JNPR, and there's gonna be some champagne popping, and with the pop and zoom out on everybody gathering, raising their glasses to the sky. That's where we end it. That's the vibe I'm getting. That's what episode 12 is going to be. We talked about action, we talked about animation, good art, kind of middling. I'm curious what the Blu-ray release is gonna be looking like, for sure, for sure. I wonder if Shaft is actually gonna put the effort, because series like Madoka or Monogatari or I don't know, Zetsubo Sensei or whatever else were series that Shaft kind of picked up themselves. So they had a reason to care about them, they had a reason to go back and redo some of the rougher patches. This one seems kind of purchased, as in Rooster Teeth said, hey yo, make 12 episodes of it, we're gonna pay you this and this much. Although from what I read of the there was a whatchamacallit, when one person asks the other questions, an interview. There was an interview with the creators of this show, and they seem to be like friends with the creator of the original series, and they promised to like work on a joint project in the end. Well, alas, the original creator died, but maybe it's not purchased, maybe they actually genuinely care about it and they genuinely want to make it succeed, in which case I'm very much excited for the Blu-ray release. You guys let me know when it comes out, let me know if it's actually worth watching. I have a feeling it might be. I have a feeling it might be. Kind of a pity that the TV version released in the state it did, because it's gonna lower the ratings severely. Honestly, like, it's gonna lower the ratings. No two words about it. And when the Blu-ray version release, no one's gonna give a fuck anymore, because low ratings. Because if nobody found themselves to care about this one, why should they care about Blu-ray? And no one's gonna watch the Blu-ray version and then update their rating on like My Anime List or Anilist or wherever else. So that's gonna suck. That's gonna suck. I honestly don't get Shaft's philosophy of get it done first, get it done well later. It seems to be backfiring. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Madoka Magica is a cult classic, and from what I hear, it was also released in a fairly sorry state, so maybe there is a method to the madness. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it. So maybe you guys have something more to say, and if so, do so in the comments down below. No spoilers, please. Talk to me about what you thought of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that. No spoilers, please. I'm gonna be watching the original series. Uh, don't you worry, none. I'm gonna watch it, so don't spoil it to me. I wanna watch it unspoiled. You want me to watch it unspoiled as well. So if you want to talk spoilers, Discord here, also in the description. Join it. There's a RWBY channel there, and you can discuss spoilers by using spoiler tags. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases of not only RWBY but also Overlord Season 4, Madoka Magica, Symphogear GX, and later, because we just about finished GX, Hatarakumao-sama, I'm late on that, but I'm gonna record it as soon as I can. And of course, also Yufka Shinota, which is the highlight of the season for me, honestly. So go give it a watch. You can support the channel monetarily if you want on Patreon or Throne, links in the description down below. On Patreon for $10 a month, you get early access to non-seasonals like Symphogear, like Madoka Magica, like whatever other non-seasonals I might be watching. Probably RWBY. The original series is also going to be released in that way, 1 week early on Patreon, and then it goes on YouTube. And for just $1, you get a role on the Discord, and you also get a place in the credits. On Throne, you can pitch in towards my purchase of some new gear, like a proper camera, better lighting, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you can help the channel a lot by sharing my content, spreading the word. The word of mouth does matter a lot for the growth of a channel. Anybody you bring to the channel might be a new subscriber, might be a new Patreon supporter, so that's how it works, that's how channels grow. And with that, I think that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's the credits I mentioned. You can be one of those people if only you so desire.